What if the biggest trading mistake isn't making a bad trade, but believing the next trade can erase the pain of the last one? Most traders think revenge trading starts after a loss, but the truth is far more dangerous. It starts the moment your emotions begin searching for justice instead of opportunity, and that's the hidden battle almost nobody talks about. Somewhere between frustration, anger, and the desperate need to get your money back, your mind quietly stops following the market and starts fighting it. The scary part? It feels completely logical while it's happening. In this journey, you'll discover why intelligent people keep repeating the same costly mistakes, why willpower alone almost never stops the cycle, and how professional traders develop a mindset that protects them before emotions ever take control. But there's one psychological shift that changes everything, and most people never realize it until they've already paid for it with months, or even years, of unnecessary losses. Every chapter builds on the one before it, revealing another piece of the puzzle, and the final lesson brings them all together in a way that can permanently change how you approach every trade you take. If this message challenges the way you've been thinking, let me know in the comments because your experience might help someone else recognize the same hidden pattern. And if you're ready to build a calmer, stronger, more disciplined trading mindset, take a second to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it, because the next few minutes might change the way you see the market forever. Chapter 1. The Invisible Trigger. Why revenge? Trading begins before you click. Imagine standing at the edge of a calm lake. You throw a stone into the water, and the ripples spread far beyond the point of impact. Now imagine your last losing trade as that stone. Most traders believe the damage ends when the trade closes. It doesn't. The real impact is happening inside your mind, long after the chart has moved on. Here's the hidden truth. Revenge trading doesn't begin with a new order. It begins with a wounded identity. The market didn't just take your money. At least that's what your brain wants you to believe. It feels as if the loss stole your confidence, questioned your intelligence, and challenged your ability to succeed. Suddenly, the next trade is no longer about finding a high probability opportunity. It becomes a mission to prove something. To yourself, to the market, to the version of you that can't accept being wrong. Picture this. A trader follows every rule for an entire week. Then one unexpected move wipes out several winning trades. The loss hurts, but the money isn't what keeps replaying in his mind. It's the feeling that he should have known better. That single thought quietly grows into frustration. Frustration becomes urgency. Urgency becomes impulsive action. And before he realizes what's happening, he's clicking the buy or sell button. Not because the market offered an opportunity, but because his emotions demanded relief. The dangerous part is that nothing feels irrational in that moment. Your brain is trying to escape emotional pain as quickly as possible. It searches for the fastest solution, and it convinces you that another trade will fix everything. The strange thing is that the market never asked you to recover your last loss. Only your emotions did. Think about driving through thick fog. When visibility disappears, the natural instinct is to speed up so you can get out of it faster. But speeding only increases the chance of crashing because you can't clearly see what's ahead. Trading under emotional pressure works exactly the same way. The less clarity you have, the faster you often want to act. Professionals understand something that most traders overlook. The market doesn't know you exist. It isn't rewarding you. It isn't punishing you. It has no memory of your previous trade. Every opportunity stands alone. Yet the emotional mind connects every trade into one personal story. One loss becomes two. Two become proof that you're failing. And suddenly, you're no longer reading the market. You're reading your emotions. This is where the cycle begins. Not on the chart. Inside your interpretation of what the loss means. The moment you believe a losing trade says something about your worth, you've unknowingly stepped into the trap. Every decision after that becomes an attempt to repair your emotions instead of managing risk. The strongest traders aren't fearless. They simply refuse to let one outcome define the next decision. They understand that a single trade is only one event in a long series of probabilities. Nothing more, nothing less. That sounds simple. Living it is something entirely different. Because before you can stop revenge trading, you must first understand why your mind keeps demanding emotional closure. And once you see that hidden pattern, an even more dangerous trap begins to reveal itself. Chapter 2. The Emotional Trap. How one loss hijacks every decision. Have you ever noticed how one losing trade can make every chart suddenly look like an opportunity? Nothing in the market has changed. The candles are the same. The price is moving the same way. The probabilities haven't magically shifted in your favor. The only thing that has changed is the lens through which you're looking at the market. And that changes everything. The human brain is built to protect you from pain. Long before financial markets existed, survival depended on reacting quickly to danger. If something caused pain once, your mind searched for the fastest way to make that feeling disappear. That ancient survival system still lives inside every trader. The problem is that the market isn't a predator. It isn't trying to hurt you, yet your brain reacts as though it is. Imagine losing a trade that perfectly followed your plan. The loss itself lasts only a moment, but the emotional discomfort refuses to leave. Instead of accepting uncertainty, your mind begins searching for certainty. It whispers dangerous thoughts. I can win it back. I just need one good trade. The market owes me. Those thoughts don't sound emotional. They sound logical. That's what makes them so powerful. The emotional brain is incredibly skilled at disguising feelings as facts. It creates convincing stories that justify impulsive decisions. Before long, you're no longer analyzing price action. You're searching for evidence that supports what you already want to believe. Think about a poker player who loses a big hand. A professional understands that even the best decision can produce a bad outcome. An emotional player, however, feels personally attacked by the loss. Instead of waiting for the next strong hand, they begin betting recklessly, hoping to erase the memory of the previous mistake. The cards didn't change. The player did. Trading follows the same pattern. Once emotions take control, patience feels impossible. Waiting suddenly feels like losing. Sitting on your hands feels uncomfortable because your brain mistakes inaction for weakness. It convinces you that doing something is better than doing nothing. But the market doesn't reward activity. It rewards quality decisions. That's a lesson many traders spend years learning. Here's another hidden trap. Every revenge trade temporarily reduces emotional pain. For a few moments, placing the order creates relief. It feels like you've taken back control. But that relief is an illusion, because now your emotions are attached to the outcome of another trade. If it loses, the pain grows even stronger. If it wins, something even more dangerous can happen. Your brain learns that emotional trading works. That false lesson becomes a habit, and habits repeated often enough become identity. Without realizing it, you stop thinking like a disciplined trader and start behaving like someone who depends on the next trade for emotional comfort. This is why revenge trading is so difficult to break. It isn't just a trading problem, it's a psychological loop. The market becomes the place where you seek emotional relief instead of objective opportunity. Until that pattern is broken, every strategy, every indicator, and every new system will eventually fail under emotional pressure. Because the greatest battle isn't happening on the chart, it's happening in your mind. And the next discovery reveals how the most consistent traders quietly break this cycle before emotion ever gets the chance to take control. Chapter 3. Break the cycle, rewiring your mind before the next trade. Imagine an archer preparing to release an arrow. The moment the arrow leaves the bow, its path is no longer under the archer's control. The only thing that could be controlled was everything that happened before the release. Trading works exactly the same way. Once you enter a trade, the market decides the outcome, but before you click the button, your mind decides the quality of the decision. Most traders spend years trying to control the market. Professional traders spend years learning to control themselves. That single difference changes everything. Here's the mistake that keeps the revenge cycle alive. After a losing trade, most people ask, how do I recover my money? The better question is, who is making my next decision? Is it the calm version of you who follows a plan? Or is it the frustrated version of you who wants relief? Those are two completely different traders, even though they share the same account. Picture someone who has just lost a difficult game of chess. Instead of studying the board, they immediately demand another match. Not because they found a better strategy, but because they want to erase the feeling of losing. The second game isn't driven by logic, it's driven by emotion. Trading is no different. The fastest way to break revenge trading isn't finding a better strategy, it's creating space between emotion and action. That space is where discipline is born. Think about a traffic light. When it turns red, you don't see it as a personal attack. You stop because you understand that waiting protects you from making a costly mistake. Now imagine creating your own mental red light after every loss. No instant re-entry, no emotional decisions, no exceptions. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Your mind will insist that you're missing opportunities. It will tell you that this next setup is different, that waiting is costing you money. But that's exactly how emotional thinking sounds. It always demands urgency. Professional thinking is different. It asks questions before taking action. Does this trade match my plan? Would I take this setup if my previous trade had been a winner? Am I responding to the market or reacting to my emotions? Those simple questions interrupt the emotional autopilot. An interruption creates awareness. Awareness creates choice. Choice creates discipline. Over time, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop measuring success by whether the trade wins or loses. Instead, you measure success by whether you followed your process. That's a completely different scoreboard. When your identity becomes connected to disciplined execution rather than immediate outcomes, losing trades lose much of their emotional power. They become information, not personal failure, not proof that you're incapable, just another outcome in a game built on probabilities. This mindset doesn't remove losses. It removes the emotional chaos that follows them. And that's where consistency begins. Because the traders who survive for years aren't the ones who never lose. They're the ones who never allow one loss to decide the next trade. But even discipline has a deeper foundation. Because the greatest professionals don't simply avoid revenge trading. They develop a way of thinking that makes emotional decisions far less likely in the first place. And that shift changes everything. Chapter 4. Think like a professional. Choosing discipline over emotion. What separates a professional trader from everyone else? It isn't a secret indicator. It isn't a faster computer. It isn't even the ability to predict the market. The real difference is far less exciting and far more powerful. Professionals have learned that the market is under no obligation to reward them simply because they want to win. That idea sounds obvious, yet most traders spend years fighting against it. Imagine two mountain climbers facing the same steep trail. The first climber constantly complains about the weather, the rocks, and the difficulty of the climb. Every obstacle feels unfair. The second climber expects obstacles. He packed for them. He trained for them. He doesn't waste energy wishing the mountain were different. He focuses on taking the next safe step. The mountain doesn't change. The mindset does. The market works the same way. Every trading day brings uncertainty. Some setups work beautifully. Others fail for no apparent reason. A professional accepts this reality before the trading session even begins. An emotional trader hopes every good setup will become a winning trade. A professional hopes only for one thing, to execute the plan correctly. That shift may seem small. In reality, it changes every decision you make. When your goal is execution instead of perfection, losses stop feeling like personal attacks. They become part of the business. Think about a successful restaurant owner. Not every customer who walks through the door creates profit. Some meals cost more than expected. Some days are slower than others. Yet the owner doesn't panic after a quiet afternoon and completely change the menu. Why? Because success is measured over hundreds and thousands of customers, not one afternoon. Trading follows the same principle. One trade proves nothing. 5 trades prove very little. Only a long series of disciplined decisions reveals whether your process has an edge. Professionals understand this, which is why they rarely feel the emotional urgency that traps so many traders. They aren't chasing today's result. They're building tomorrow's consistency. This is where patience becomes a competitive advantage. Most people think patience means waiting. It doesn't. Patience means trusting your process even when your emotions demand immediate action. It means allowing opportunities to come to you instead of chasing every movement on the chart. It means accepting that saying no to a mediocre trade is often more profitable than saying yes to an emotional one. That's the mindset of someone who plans to stay in the game for years, not just today. Eventually, something unexpected happens. You stop looking at the market as a place to prove yourself. You begin seeing it as a place to practice discipline. Your confidence no longer comes from winning trades. It comes from knowing that, regardless of the outcome, you can trust yourself to make the next decision with a clear mind. And that kind of confidence cannot be taken away by a single losing trade. Because it isn't built on results, it's built on character. But one final lesson remains. It's the lesson that quietly connects everything you've learned so far. And once you truly understand it, revenge trading no longer feels like a battle you must fight. It becomes a habit you've simply outgrown. Chapter 5. The Calm Edge. Turning patience into your greatest trading advantage. What if your greatest advantage in the market isn't the trades you take, but the ones you have the strength to walk away from? That sounds backwards. After all, trading seems like a game of action. Charts move every second. Prices rise and fall. Opportunities appear and disappear. It feels as though the trader who acts the fastest wins. But the market has a different rule. It rewards clarity, not urgency. Imagine a skilled fisherman standing by a river. He doesn't throw his line into every ripple on the surface. He understands that movement doesn't always mean opportunity. He waits. He observes. And when the right moment comes, he acts with confidence instead of desperation. Professional traders think the same way. They don't confuse activity with progress. They understand that every unnecessary trade carries a hidden cost, not just in money, but in focus, confidence, and emotional energy. The moment you stop needing the market to make you feel better, something remarkable happens. You begin to see it more clearly. Fear becomes quieter. Greed loses its grip. Impatience starts to fade. For the first time, you're making decisions based on what the market is actually showing you, not what your emotions are begging you to see. This is the calm edge. And it can't be bought. It has to be built. Think about an experienced pilot flying through turbulence. The passengers panic because they're reacting to every shake. The pilot remains calm because he understands the bigger picture. He knows turbulence is part of the journey, not a sign that the flight is failing. The market creates its own turbulence, winning streaks, losing streaks, unexpected news, sharp reversals. None of these define your future unless you allow them to control your next decision. The strongest traders don't eliminate emotion. They simply stop allowing emotion to become the captain. They let discipline take that role instead. Over time, this changes more than your trading results. It changes who you become. You become someone who doesn't chase, someone who doesn't panic, someone who doesn't need to be right on every trade to remain confident. That's the real transformation, because consistent trading isn't built on predicting the future. It's built on responding wisely to uncertainty. Every trade becomes just one page in a much larger story. Some pages end with profits, others end with losses. But none of them define the entire book. And once you truly believe that, revenge trading loses its power. You no longer feel the need to fight the market. You no longer need to prove yourself. You simply follow your process, protect your capital, and trust that disciplined decisions, repeated over time, will always outperform emotional reactions. The market will continue to test your patience. It will tempt you. It will challenge your discipline. But every time you choose clarity over impulse, process over emotion, and patience over revenge, you're becoming the kind of trader who survives when others burn out. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. Success in trading isn't about defeating the market. It's about mastering the person who looks back at you in the mirror every single day. If this journey changed the way you think, don't let it end here. Share your biggest takeaway in the comments, pass this video on to someone who needs to hear it, And if you're committed to building a disciplined, professional mindset, subscribe and keep learning, because the best traders never stop improving, and neither should you.